Happy Thursday, guys. Say hi. Good day. Finishing up our dungeon today. Or at least for now. I am in the talks with Cutsbit about whether or not we want to put a boss in there. And I think I would like to. I just, it requires time, it requires thought. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Most of it's going to come down to how much time do we actually have before we want to have a finalized build. And of course, that won't be the end of it, right? If we do pitching based on a build, quarter 2, quarter 3 of the year or something, we can always come back to it and improve the build and, try again. So, not the end of the world, just depends when we want to have things done by a certain date. I think I put April 31st is the due date for our newest build. Hey, Frank, too. Hey, hi. Fog is looking good. I think it looks good during the day, but it looks really, really good during the night. It's all spooky. Look like the one castle in Mortar. Oh yeah, God, what's the name of that? Not Minas Morgul, is it? Oops. That door needs to be put down. Minas Morgul. The lore behind that place is pretty cool. That whole city is cool. I think I wanted that door to open up more. I don't think it's going to open up enough. I can fix that. Amount to move Z. That should be instance editable. This way I can modify that. To, let's say, 400. Okay, what did we need to fit? This room definitely doesn't have like anything, and we need to have like a pile of bones here where or bodies where the skeleton can respawn. We don't have anything in the hallways or down here. But I think that from a props and lootable standpoint, I'm generally okay with how this room and this room are. They're still a bit lacking. They're not perfect, but for prototype, I think that they're more than sufficient. That's really what matters. So pretty much just the hallways and this first room. We'll start with this first room. And then after that, I don't know what we're going to do. We could do some design work on progression. Something I've desperately not done much thought on. Implodey. But the title is Fishing Dungeon. A place to fish in the dungeon would be cool. Don't tempt me. You have a question for me? Yeah, go for it. It'd be quite fun to be able to fish in the dungeon and have unique fish in there. I 100% agree. It would be really cool. As a really rookie developer, how do I know what I have to offer to a team in a game jam or say intern situation? Meaning that if you were to join a game jam, how would you tell them, like, hey, what can we expect you to do in this game? You mean like that kind of thing? Or kind of not dumb, but I don't know all that much. I'm gonna be honest, if you're joining a game jam where people are around your same skill level, I don't think that there should be any... I don't know. I mean, you could be joining some kind of asshole people, right? But for the most part, I think that not knowing what you can do or how much you can help is pretty standard. I think that's kind of expected at that point. You know, you're just trying to learn. And you do need to do some trial and error, right? It's like, well, you don't really know what your best features and assets are yet. Hey Shay, Dungeon's really coming along great. Well, thank you. Yeah, we added some really nice ground fog yesterday, and we've been working on props and enemy placements and some lootables. So we're getting there. You know, it's not the most impressive dungeon, but I think that, yeah, I'm not a level designer or a level artist, so been good practice though. Hope you're doing well. As an intern, usually you were expected to know not a lot except the tools of the trade. That is, you know how to program using the languages they use, and you know how to use the engine, for example, or how to do some graphics programming or whatever. Really, I'd like to be able to learn from someone, just not sure what I'd have to offer them. You know, here's the thing. I think that if you're just starting game jams, which I think is definitely a smart and proper move, it doesn't really matter if your game succeeds in being created. What matters is that you learn something. Oh, I hate that that doesn't link up. That's
Mr.
annoying.
President, wake up.
How you doing, Rex? You see what... Guys, do you see what I mean when I talk about the root... the pivots of this asset pack? They have this chain. They haven't implemented it as a spline. There's no decent unit that I can use to get them to connect up properly. And even the thing that's supposed to be on a chain, the pivot doesn't line up. Who made this? Christ. Important. I mean, that seems like so much work. That seems like so much work just to... I could just manually modify it. Like, fuck it. Worst case, make it a blueprint or something. Already making a game and learning, just don't have anywhere to draw experience from. It's on my plate. I know how you feel, actually. I really do know how you feel. That's how I felt when I started working in Unreal 2. Like, I just, if somebody could just fucking talk to me and teach me. I know how you feel. Done several game jams, though. It's been a while since my last one, and I always did them solo because of a similar reason, worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up with others. I think that you can pretty easily find individuals to connect up with that are probably on similar skill levels. That work to hold V and snap them? I don't know. Can you? I'm holding V. Nothing happens. Yeah, I would definitely do what Implodey is recommending. Like, just find the thing that really piques your interest, and that's like, oh shit, I love doing this. That's so fun. You know, when I first got into game dev, I tried modeling, I tried texturing, um, tried programming, like the logic. That was it. You'll put it here. I'd be scared to be slower than others in a game jam. It's true too. If you join like a newbie team, I think that you'll learn a lot, and you'll feel like you're around people that are also just trying to learn and trying to make something. But if you join a team that's all about, you know, we don't make a game, it's gonna be the worst thing ever, we need to do it. We don't accept you because you don't have some unique talent. It's not a good team to join. Hot take. I'll make all the doors. I mean, most game jams have their own discords where you can hook up with people. I mean, there's new ones starting this weekend. We got... Ooh, you should join the girly game jam. I'd look for longer ones too. Shorter ones might be a bit too stressful. Tons going on. Some of them don't really tell much though about the themes or anything. Early game jam. Don't submit AI generated content. Use tags like girly, fantasy, fashion. A little stereotypical. But hey, stereotypes exist for a reason. It's all about girl power. I know, cancel me for saying that stereotypes exist, but they kinda do. Well, that's annoying. As a girl, I'm insulted that you're right. It's just generalizations, you know? Some guys love fashion and some girls love trucks. Generally speaking, the other way around. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, though. No, you're right. There's stereotypes about guys, and guess what? They're pretty accurate. I will say, though, I don't really believe in harmful stereotypes. I think that, generally speaking, if something statistically is true, then it's not really a stereotype. It's more of just, well, these are statistics. Doesn't mean we should treat people badly or differently because of that. It's not like you should walk up to a woman and say, "Oh my god, do you want to talk about fashion? You're a girl, right? That must mean that you love talking about it. Pink, that must be your favorite color because that's the only color that women can like." Just speedrun getting canceled today. Any percentage? Did you make a pile? I think making a pile would unfortunately cause a lot of overdraw with nanite and be kind of unoptimized. It would also take quite a lot of time. I can do... that though. Keep simulation changes. Handy little trick. I'll probably also remove collision from these. Is that a baby skull? Yes. Only babies die in my game. This is a very progressive game. There, that'll get me canceled, right? Let's Starla. Piles of bones. Okay. Collision. Remove. Save. Check out. Collision. Remove. I'll just remove and then do a full save on all. Hey, Illy. Scattered pieces of a skeleton that when brought together animate into a secret NPC. Would be cool. These are all very great ideas that require quite a bit of time, but are worth it, I think. So many great ideas, so little time. Well, it's kind of funny seeing even right-leaning people being like, yo, what the fuck, looking at the US. I don't know, it's just tribalism. I think pretty much every Western country has the same problem. Everyone wants to have opinions, nobody wants to actually talk. Everyone wants to be right. Nobody can fathom that maybe some things there is no right or wrong, there's just different opinions. Is what it is. Ideas guy. I knew a guy that was paid to be an ideas guy. He contributed very little to the team and was paid way too much. I bet he was paid at least 2.5 times as much that I was being paid as, and did very little. Hey, Muddy. How you doing? Open world MMO with up to 100 player PvP. And don't forget Implodey. Everything is destructible. You can craft anywhere. 20 different races. 300 different classes. Add fishing. You know, to be fair, adding fishing does appeal to quite a lot of people. It's also not that hard to implement. We ended up adding fishing in a week in our game. Not finalized or perfect, but could be worse. Can't really. Here, we'll just make him have passed out on the bench. This is what we'll do with him. He was waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. This is a female skeleton because she's on her knees. Cut that. Don't put that in the VOD. Okay, I don't think there's any clipping. Could move it closer though. I'm spicy today. This is wild. I'll put a torch in here. Let me grab one. Here, I'll even it out. This is a male skeleton because he's laying on his ass doing nothing. Not helping out around the house at all. There. Have we reached peak equality? Good. I have like a bucket that I can put in here, like a shit bucket. I have vases. Good enough. Peak boomer stereotypes. I miss humor. You know, I think it's coming back though. I think it is once again okay to call your friends retards because you know people know that you're not talking about individuals with actual mental problems, right? You're calling your friends who have no excuse being stupid. You're calling them stupid. I think that's an okay thing. If someone's stupid, I'm offended that you call other people stupid. How dare you? You know, I could make these vases destructible. We'll worry about that later. I can always put those in at some point. Gesundheit. Dankeschön. How many German people do I have in my chat? At least one. Well, German people, my heart goes out to all of you. Jesus Christ, I'm not even 1 hour into the stream. Like, I have to stop. I have to, I think I should just cancel myself today. I didn't do anything. I put my hand over my heart and I said my heart goes out to you guys. There's nothing weird about it. Don't make it weird. Hey, look, no, I made sure not to put my hand at the danger angle. I did this. That was a wave. There was no danger angle. It hits different coming from Poland. I'm pretty sure Polish people found it funny too. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that he did it purposefully. It was just the worst combination of accidental happenings that I've ever seen. And it was insanely funny. Every other time, well, I mean, you can literally clip every single president that we've had for the past like 3 decades at a specific point in time, and they all look like they're doing the salute. I don't know. I don't think he would do it. I think that it's a Rorschach test. Whatever you want to see in that video, you will see. There's no right or wrong answer to what happened. There's only what you see as having happened. I mean, the thing is, like, I agree that even doing it is bad, but sometimes they're just accidents. Sometimes accidents happen. I mean, if you didn't want money in politics, I think we're a bit too late for that. I think we've had a bit of an oligarchy for many decades, and it's been happening under presidents that wear blue and presidents that wear red. They all love money. They all love power. Some are just better at hiding it than others. Current regime is full dictatorial. Not any more than the other ones. Every other president's been signing executive orders. It's the worst abuse of power that should never have been allowed. It was intended to pass things without the need for congressional approval during, times of war and emergency. The problem is, how do you define times of war and emergency? Well, that's a pretty vague definition. Now the president can just sign executive orders. To be fair, the justice system can try to stop those and they can go to the Supreme Court, thankfully, but executive orders have been existing for decades. Well, you can't fire judges. You cannot fire that is a power that does not exist with the president. That's something that happens here in Poland because judges are not elected by the people. So you have a lot of corruption with that here in Poland and other places that have similar setups. So the president still has control. Just because he signs an executive order does not mean that executive order is necessarily going to be constitutional. And sometimes they sign executive orders in order to fight them in court. Biden did the same thing, right, with, what was it? The student loan forgiveness, right? But I agree, no one person should have that much power. I agree. If I was made president, I would use executive orders to end corruption, and then my last executive order would be removing executive orders. I'd fuck them over with the system, and then I'd end the system. The problem is, you could just then get a supermajority into Congress, and they could pass executive orders again, so... how much can you really stop? No, he doesn't. He doesn't implode. He doesn't. I think that's a common propaganda by the other side. But that's not how executive orders work. The executive orders can be passed, and he does have control to do certain things. And if people didn't want him to have that control, they shouldn't have elected the officials who passed the ability for the president to have executive orders in the first place. But any executive order can be challenged in court, holding up the ability to enact that order, which a lot of them have already been done. And then they will be fought in court, and one side will win, and then whatever happens, happens. So there is some checks and balances still, but there is still too much power. I can agree with that much. But the finite details, I think, do matter here. I don't remember when executive orders were put into place, but I know that it, at least since Bush, I don't know. Didn't quite a few orders get through even though we're pending? So they might be pending judicative inspection. This is true. But the judges, I think in some cases, can prevent those orders from being, what's the word, not enacted, but, you know, they can halt the you know what I mean? They can halt them from actually being put into place while that decision is pending. Others might go into effect, but then they can't be halted yet. They usually end up at the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court decides on them, and what happens with that happens. A small cage. That's a better cage. I mean, you can close the Department of Education. Technically, you can stop people from entering government buildings. I mean, this is the executive of the executive branch. If you put people on administrative leave and you prevent them from entering a building, I mean, that is doable, I would imagine. And if it isn't doable, then it will be fought in court. As it should be. If it is lawful, it's lawful. If it's not lawful, then it's not lawful. And to be fair, it's not like the Department of Education is going away and there's no replacement. He wants to push it to the states, which in all honesty, that's what federalism is. That's the entire point of the United States, was that the states have the power to control how they handle certain things. So if he wants to eliminate federal government spending and let states compete for education, I think, you know, why not try it? It's worth trying. Something needs to be done with education. Should not have been allowed to block people from entering until it was approved. Well, they can do it. I mean, it's not like they weren't getting paid. They just weren't allowed to enter the building. Which they have a right to do. Districts were responsible for some things, though not everything. Now, to what extent, I don't know. We'll see what the plan is, because it wasn't that they want to technically, you know, they don't want to get rid of the Department of Education necessarily. That is just one option. So we will see. Schools in Germany are managed at a federal level, and honestly, it's shit. Well, I'm not a fan of federal government, I'll tell you that. I do think that I like when states have the power to control these things, but that doesn't mean that every state does it perfectly. In fact, COVID being handled by states was quite a disaster. It is one negative of the US system. It's in times of medical emergency like that. Granted, I don't think COVID in most places was handled very well. Oh, they are handled by the districts or, you know, the states of the German states. I mean, honestly, if it's handled by states or if it's handled by the federal government in the US, I don't care as long as it's effective. Now, the reason that I don't like it being handled by one agency compared to 50 agencies is that I do like the competition that can come from states, right? So, you know, like businesses and states competing for businesses is very positive because they can help to lower taxes, provide incentives, protections for workers, and it may push people to move their company, you know, across state lines or something. I think that's a good thing. That's a good outcome. COVID in North Korea was handled very well and never existed there. Famine also never existed in North Korea, according to North Koreans. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of dismantling Department of Education, but I am in favor of overhauling education to improve the education of children. But I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in how to do that properly. I have opinions, and those opinions could be wrong. Like with most things. Access to and quality of education. I mean, I think it's hard sometimes to control quality of education too when you do have a lot of people in charge. But at the same time, I would say that the education that you should provide to people in rural Iowa, who are probably mostly going to grow up to be farmers, probably should be different than education in some other places. You know, it's the US is a very, very big country. It's very, very big. And there's just different needs and goals of different states. I don't like the thought that that's handled by one overarching department. Going from Washington State to Yosemite is practically the entire drive from southern to northern Germany. Yeah, it's crazy. Truth expression in favor of dogmatic curricula is just complete nonsense. I agree. I agree. In both extreme cases. I think trying to ban books about, you know, the right trying to ban books about certain things is really stupid. But also trying to teach children those extreme views as the only logical way to look at things is also really bad. They're both bad. Abstinence only education. Yeah, I agree. Hey, Yanis. I mean, look, like teachers, just like parents, will have ideologies. They absolutely will. And just like with parents, teachers, I think, can try to push their views on impressionable children who will mimic and try to absorb the knowledge of their superiors, their teachers in this case, as the only truth. Because they aren't being taught critical thinking, they're being taught to memorize knowledge. And sometimes teaching only one side of knowledge or, of a viewpoint is obviously that quite dangerous. No matter which side it is. People made children long before sexual education was a thing. I don't know, there's problems on all sides of this. That's why on one side it sounds like I'm defending Trump, but in other cases I really don't like the extremeness. all a bunch of tribalist bullshit, if you ask me. Sadly, kids are being caught right in the middle. Our US political system is broken. It's kind of broken. I think just like every other political system, it's filled with corruption. People who want power and money. I think every single Western nation is the same thing. All of them. Germany, UK, US, Canada. The Papal State. All filled with people that want something. The only way that you get that high up in politics is by scheming and scamming. Good luck on work, Frank, too. Yeah, always, that's the kind of the reason why I still stick around, X, Twitter. I do think that for what it is at least quite even with regards to Democrat and Republican viewpoints from a US system's point of view. It's not perfect. I don't think any social media is. But it doesn't feel like an echo chamber. She's trying to talk to people that are actively making up wrong stuff and believing that as well. There really is. A lot of people will just say things that they think are true and, or like you said, just make things up entirely. I mean, there's been a lot of lies, like people talking about USAID, calling it USAID, and how aid is being slashed for people around the world. Oh my god, look at these, look at the medicine that's been supposed to be sent to other countries that now won't be because USAID is shut down. Like, well, no, that's not what they did at all. We need some lights in here. We need to put something in here. We could always just keep this empty and put, like, I don't know, some treasure. Doesn't have to be too crazy. When Green Party was doing a normal election campaign, do you know what some of the right-wing nuts did? What did they do? Defamation campaign against the Green Chancellor candidate for months, even dragging his wife into it, forcing him to make a statement. Please keep his wife out of this. She has nothing to do with that. Yeah, sounds like politics. Sounds about right. Not surprised. Make up a bunch of bullshit that doesn't exist. Smear your political enemies. People will lap it up and believe it. Sounds about right. Freezing potion. Water breathing potion. Dirty water. Enfeebling elixir. Yeah, we can do a weakness potion. It's kind of nice. It will work. I think you're wrong, Implodey. Definitely not true. I think that both sides are just as bad. In fact, from the political spectrum in the U.S., over time, the left has moved much further left and the right has moved right. Technically speaking, the right is closer to being classical liberals than the left. I was talking about the German election. Okay, well, I think in Europe, right, the right, or no, it's in Poland, I think the right is, they're like switched, aren't they? I don't remember. I know here in Poland, I think the right is more socialist. I don't know. Europe right and left, I think, are still pretty different than the U.S. right and left. I don't know anything about it. All I know is the U.S. Hey, Mr. Feeble. We got some loot here. I wouldn't mind having a treasure chest, but I don't really have a place to put it. Yeah, we'll forego the treasure chest. We'll put some ingredients up here. And some other loot. Some gold coins or something. Europe and left are somewhat different than the US ones, but the general meaning of the progressive conservative axis is the same. Okay. I'd love to see where, I don't know, it's hard to quantify, right? But where the right and left exist in relation to the US right and left. But there was this graphic which compared 1994 to 2017 in the US. Which, you know, I was born in 1984, and I do feel, you know, I remember watching the debates between like Obama and McCain and Obama and Romney. Very civilized, very nice. It was very interesting, very intellectual. And since then, the right's moved a bit further right. I think that they're probably closer to here, to be honest. But the left's moved much further left. Which is something that I think gets left out of a lot of international media. And most international media is very left-leaning. So people in Poland I see here often get fed a lot of misinformation about the US political system. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Place in the US Democratic Party on our European scale is to be right of the middle. You think so? I kind of disagree with you, but I just don't know enough to be factual on that. I would think that the US left is far more left than European left. TikTok is left? I think that most social media algorithms just feed people what they already engage in. But it was really funny to me to hear people say like, oh, it's, you know, it's so racist over on Twitter. It's like, well, I don't see any of that because I don't engage in any of that. Maybe just stop following and liking and commenting on posts that are ridiculously divisive. I don't know. Oh, not necessarily with the social spectrum, but due to everything else. Interesting. My girlfriend gets spoon-fed Trump hatred and how Kamala would save women's lives. It's an odd one. I don't see any of that. But, you know, I think anybody on my Twitter timeline that starts to get, like, really... Like, every post that I see, if it's just something divisive and mean-spirited, doesn't matter if it's right or left-leaning, I just unfollow that person. Like, I'm done. Nope. More memes, more cat images, cool science things. That's all I want. I'm gonna tell you, Implody, both sides do it. Both sides buy ads. I mean, look at Kamala's campaign, by the way. Kamala's campaign had over $1 billion to spend. And they absolutely spent that on ads. Trump won, spending far fewer, just like he did in 2016. And you have to ask yourself why. What are they getting wrong? I mean, they control the social media platforms. I don't know if it's illegal in Germany to do that. But if it's like if it's a private company, to me, it's more like voter beware. If it's illegal, then I hope that the Germany courts deal with it and the truth comes out. That's all I want. But I voted for a non-Trump Republican in 2016 and a non-Biden Democrat in 2020. And in 2024 I didn't vote at all. I was like, God, I don't like any of these candidates. Not even the independent ones. They're all being a bunch of bozos. Is there a door that I can put on here? Oh, here it is. Here it is. You know, I don't like the idea, though, that saying that somebody is right-leaning it's kind of seen as a pejorative. I think differently than when you say that somebody is left-leaning. And by you, I just mean in general. It's seen as a pejorative to be conservative. Some brilliant social engineering with that one. Well, socialism and I mean, I think that people misuse the words socialism, communism, and fascism. All the time, those are misused. Same with racist. People love to misuse these terms. No, I'm not saying you specifically, Implody. Just meaning like as a generalization. A 3D political compass. I don't know, I hate people putting on political compasses. I think that most people, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think that most people have different views on different issues. And I don't like treating somebody, oh, you're left-leaning, that must mean that you think XYZ. Oh, you're right-leaning, that must mean that you think XYZ. Is at that point I'm almost just assuming I'm neglecting nuance right out of the gate, no matter what. I'm saying your own opinions do not matter. The opinions that I have fabricated for you are the only thing that matter here. And now, to me, that's almost a bad faith argument. There's no point even discussing anything at that point because I've already decided for you the type of person you are and the things that you think. I'm one of the only people I know that's more right than left. People look at me with such disdain often because of it. I think people do treat individuals like that. You know, if you say, oh, I voted for Kamala, I voted for Trump, people will just, not everybody, but a lot of people will just immediately think things of you, believe that you like every single thing that that person has said and done, and that's that. And there's no point discussing it further. Single program party with only goal being research to make people live longer. Hey, look, I can get behind that. I think that's a good goal. I don't know. What I kind of feel though is that I just don't know who to trust. I don't know what to trust anymore. I don't feel I can trust most media, most news articles, most pundits. I think a majority of issues have so much nuance behind them that you know, there isn't always a right or wrong answer to things. Hopes that your politics outside of the US do not fall tribalism. I don't feel like I'm tribalistic. But I think that I'm probably wrong in that. I think that I probably do have a tribe. I just don't see it. Like every human. We're all animals. We all have instincts. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm so centered that I think anybody who speaks ill of one side and not the other is probably already within an echo chamber that's probably pretty negative to their view. That's my tribe. I'm so centered that there's my tribalism. I could probably stand this guy up in here. Might be able to do it. Early Sapien. I don't know, I've always believed that the greatest mistake of humanity was believing that we've transcended our animal instincts and nature. Thinking of our, you know, ourselves as human instead of animals was probably one of the stupidest things we've ever done. It's pretty subtle. He's lit up, but not too much. Left center leaning personally, most of my opinions I share with the left, but for example, I do agree that we should have been more efficient with kicking out known criminal violent migrants, for example. I think most people do. I think most, and I don't like that individuals are labeled as, you know, racist or xenophobic for that. Again, you know, it's just like label, shut down, nothing you say is of value now that you would say that. You can, like, nobody wants to have a nuanced talk about it. Even though silently most people are in the, most people agree with that. At least in the US. I don't know about Germany, but I know in the US, it is a majority of people that believe that too. And I would agree with you too, Implode. I think that that has pushed it one side further extreme than it used to be. And I think that's what happens. I think that, you know, one side makes mistake, pushes other side further extreme. That extreme pushes the other side extreme, and it keeps going until revolution. And it doesn't have to be a violent revolution, but, you know, a major shift in the way that that country would handle things. From what you're saying about the AFD, it sounds pretty similar. You know, immigration was one of the biggest talking points and concerns for. It's one of the reasons why Trump won is actually just that I think that the Republicans were much more focused about talking about the issues that people cared about, while the Democrats were just trying to tell people that things were okay when they clearly weren't. I think it showed that in the election results. Oh, it was here somewhere. I know it shows here, but there was even a better graph. There was one that showed which. I know this is kind of like that, but there was one that was a lot better than this. Election issues. Wasn't this one, was it? Well, economy was very important. They're kind of horrible. It says economy, government spending, future of democracy, immigration, border security. And it's like these were all focuses of the Trump campaign. Well, climate change, issues around race and ethnicity, gun policy, you know, health. These were all things that were the focus of the Kamala campaign. It was just like it's very provable by the stats here that the Kamala campaign focused on things that people were least cared about. And she was also facing an uphill battle to try to prove to people that things would be different when she was president compared to when she was vice president, when she could have enacted a lot of the policies she was saying were important to her. Kind of weird. So I didn't see any chance for her to win with those odds. You know, I'm not going to throw it on these corners. I think the way I extruded these corners, there's a lot of overdraw. I could just disable nanite on these, to be fair. How many triangles are on these? I feel like these would be more optimized without nanite. Oh no, it's not these ones, it's these ones that I extruded. A lot of overdraw. Yeah, this is kind of shit. It is what it is. You serve everyone except cis white men. I don't know what they're thinking, dude. And, you know, I gotta be honest. I think most people are just tired of talking about race and gender. It doesn't even matter the viewpoint. I think people are just tired of it. And right now, the left cannot stop talking about it. They just can't. It's like it's their only talking point. Everything has to be about race and gender, and I think people are just like, no, can we just stop? Can we just move on? You're supposed to only talk about that. I don't know why. I think that it's actually going to be their downfall. That if they don't find another thing to latch onto, like they used to be with class warfare, which honestly, I think is more relevant now than ever, they have nothing. You're less I mean, to be fair, the right, I think, likes talking about it too. The DEI boogeyman. Oh my god, a woman. Ugh. DEI. Woman, you. Yeah, I don't understand it. You know, I used to... You remember when they remade Ghostbusters with an all-female cast? There's a legitimate issue there. There's a legitimate, forced ideology behind that decision. There really, really is. But nowadays, everybody just talks, oh my god, there's a woman in a game, there's a black character. Therefore, somebody behind the scenes must have forced that in. God forbid I make a fantasy game where I want to have a nation in my game that is inspired by some African country or whatever. Oh my god, cancel the game. I think both sides are just chasing boogeymen in that way, though. One side is looking at, you know, race and gender and seeing, oh, it must be forced there. And the other side is looking at race and gender and saying, oh, we must force there. So there is like an overlap where there is a correct, you know, it's a Venn diagram, right? There is a correct conjoining here where the right is correct and the left is correct. And these are the issues that should be addressed. And then all of these are just completely far-fetched ideological retardation points. A lot of media where representation is done right, but too much where it's done as a political statement. I mean, there was also for sure a time where they had to include that. I mean, exactly why Token in South Park is called Token is because he's the token black character in that show, as a reference to shows including a black character just for the sake of it. Now it's more like the token gay character. And it does feel like it feels like pandering. It doesn't feel natural in any way. And then their entire character is built around them being gay because, of course, it has to be. Because that's the reason that they were included in there. I mean, look at Tosh in Dragon Age Veilguard. Tosh couldn't just be a non-binary character. No, the entire character of Tosh was built around that identity. More so than her being a dragon hunter. In fact, there was very little about her being a dragon hunter. GTA, I don't know. I don't know how GTA is. GTA 6 gonna be woke? Are they? I haven't seen anything about that. For Civ 7, after getting language help from the Shawnee tribe, they gifted them the Recording Studio Language Center to help preserve their language. That's cool. I like that. You can play a woman, so of course it'll be woke. You got me. You're right. Da, 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 da. I think I told you guys how I got called a I got called a communist on Twitter for standing up for gamers with that whole piracy issue. I love it. I don't know. I love being called names. I think that main character is trans, but I might have misunderstood the video. I was tired when watching it. Haven't they even announced any info about the characters of GTA 6? I highly doubt it. I'm sorry. I highly doubt that GTA 6 is going to be like that. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. Sure, that'll work.
Mr. President, wake up.
Gotta be one of the funniest things Joe Biden has ever said. Just the way he says it too, in such a sleepy tone. Hey, so Fanny. How are you doing? Druid's Toxin. That could be nice to include, especially because technically with Poison and Druid's Sense, this could work in 2 cases. With the puzzle in the room that's down there. We'll do that. I do have like a potion stand I could put here too. Where is that? Here it is. It's to help keep it in place. We're just talking about politics. And how, I think we can all agree just how exhausting it is. Game's getting along well. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's been a long journey. It's been a very long journey. We still have quite a ways to go. I'm trying not to get distracted by other game ideas that I have. And I have some good ones. I have some ones that I would love to prototype. I know, I guess I'll be like, no. 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 This one first. And then I can make the game that it will piss off games journalists. Apparently 20 of them. Apparently there's only 20 games journalists left. Whatever that means. You guys see that? Where did I see that at? It was on Twitter. Yeah, here. There are maybe 24 people with full-time jobs in the video game press right now. Oops. Well, they're not making any money off me because I use ad blockers when I go to their sites. Dungeons of Eternity VR. I don't know that game. Like the issues of representation done in a bad way, where it feels forced, I agree. When it does not feel forced, people are not complaining. People did not complain about Ellen Ripley in Alien. Hell no, they didn't. Or Sarah Connor in Terminator. Some of the hottest, badass females in movie history. And most loved characters. Probably come up with a lot of other examples where it literally did not matter what or who the actor is. No, it doesn't. You're right. You are 100% right. Even named your dog Ripley. That's cool. I love Alien. I like Sigourney Weaver too. Get Ghost, but yeah, it's weird. There was one. It's not even just in like media too. I saw that there was something in my own state in Wisconsin. The legislature was trying to change wording from mother to inseminated person. I'd really love to hear any woman's opinion if you're in chat. How you would feel being referred to as an inseminated person instead of a mother. Do you like that? Does that feel very human to you? Named a cat Teemo from League of Legends. This is pretty good. And Elsa from Frozen. That's wild. You know, I could put a broken wall here. For being real, that'd probably be someone's kink. Damn you. Dehumanization. I mean, you're right. Dehumanization is a kink. You're not wrong. I feel like it's actually just feminism losing. It's really weird, but do you get what I mean? Like, you know, you can still call a man, or like a father, but I don't know. It's just weird. Very weird. Funniest shit is non-Spanish people trying to push gender-neutral Spanish. I agree. There's been a push in Poland too to try to make the language gender neutral, but like, Polish is also a gender language and it just doesn't work that way. And even in cases where the translation to English would make sense, right? Like, you know, like I think doctor in Polish is a male word, but people don't look at it as if you're referring to a male doctor. It's just that that's the word for it. But of course, in English, it's like, well, yeah, doctor is a doctor, right? It's not like male or female. Works as well in... Oh, here in Germany as well, but it works in several interests and there is generally improved. It's probably similar to English where you would have that, you know, just because English is a Germanic language, so maybe there is some workable version for it. What do I know, though? Oh, man, woman being replaced with person. I mean, in some cases, I agree that just makes sense, and it's fine. I think there are other use cases where, you know, it's like mankind, and they change it to humankind. It's like, well... But nobody was ever thinking mankind and thinking men. It's never meant that. Krankenschwester. Female nurse being replaced with Pflegekraft. Literally just nurse. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, that works. True and real. We'll play some stuff in the alcoves here too. And then I think we're mostly good. Like, honestly, I'm pretty happy at that point then. I might try to change... We'll see what isn't affected by nanite here, because I might update some things to have nanite enabled. Just so that we can prevent, you know, because like this is a really expensive shader to use. But if I make the mesh with nanite enabled, then it wouldn't appear in most cases, so that would be helpful. And I know with a passion, I'm going to easily export fab assets for use in my own engine without stitching shit up. What do you mean? Because I think if fab assets with nanite enabled should look pretty good. You'd actually probably have to remove... Because, you know, like normally you would say, okay, if you're making a ground, you know, use a plane, right? Because then you aren't rendering geometry that you don't need. But with nanite, you can just use a cube, and you might even be better off using some sort of 3D geometry because you're not going to be rendering any part of it that isn't visible. So exporting from fab a good nanite asset that would look like this, you might want to delete the faces that wouldn't be shown in your own engine without virtualization of geometry. Whereas, you know, this would be a good old school model, but actually would be worse for nanite. Yeah, I'm misunderstanding though. You nanite only stuff that is completely broken in export? Oh, kind of weird. Fab is kind of a crapshoot sometimes. Oh, the material export is wonky. Yeah, I can see that. For me, with this pack, I had to fix the meshes because they were all like old school made with, you know, just like flat planes, which is really, really bad for nanite and lumen. So I had to fix those up. Okay, let's see if we can get... Put a potion in here. Filter of restore health. Yeah, that'll work. Only restore health 1, but why not? We'll try to put some props in here too. I like nanite. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of lumen. It's mostly because I think that it is very performance hungry, not very optimized yet. And when it looks bad, it looks really bad. I'm gonna put some breakable crates here. Breakable barrel. But we'll put no loot on it. That should pique the player's curiosity. Like, oh, what's behind there? Oh, is that a cracked wall? Ooh. And then they get in here and there's actually not much loot. So we'll put some more loot in here. We'll do that and I'll make a new loot for loot gold pile small. By the way, it's really nice to be able to talk to you guys about like political stuff without insults being thrown around. I don't know. Sometimes social media gives you the impression that if you talk to anybody about anything controversial, it's just going to devolve into some toxic shouting match. I've always loved that that's never been the case with you guys. And it's interesting to learn about our different viewpoints in different parts of the world. Hey, Kent. Kent, don't let me forget to get back to you this weekend, by the way. I don't want you to feel like I've been putting you off. Sometimes it's easier for me to focus on game dev during the week and then just reply to all other things during the weekend. This is different when you get more viewers. It probably will be different if I get more viewers. I agree with that. I might have to start like banning, or not like banning people, but banning topics, right? Like, hey, let's just not talk about these things. Too many people, too hard to moderate. Let's just focus on games and game dev. But for now, it works. You know, I'll have differing views to someone without turning it into a shit talk match seems like a thing of the past. It does seem like a thing of the past, I agree. We did have somebody in here talking about like actually advocating for eugenics. That was interesting. I don't think we saw eye to eye on that, but it was interesting to learn his viewpoints and his reasonings behind it. But definitely gonna say that. Not sure he convinced me with his arguments. Hey, Bullshitty. Happy Thursday, guys. What does the collision look like on these? Nothing can be put inside. Okay, remove collision then. And use complex as simple. And throw some loot in there. Don't have to do anything. I will set a reminder and instructions on how to enable it once the alpha starts. Okay. I would like to try it though. It used to be, there's a lot of those like little games that you're able to play. Um, I don't know how much you want me to reveal about it on stream. I'll let you say that first. How much do you want me to talk about what you've made or things that are similar to it? Ooh. The other thing, so one of the things that I've watched a lot of these games come and go over Twitch, and I don't like sometimes how they interrupt the stream, right? Where it's like, oh, we have to do our raid every hour. Time to pause what we're doing and do this, this little raid with viewers. I think it gets old really fast. And I'm not saying that your game has these, but this is just generally my feel on games that are meant to be played with Twitch chat. The ones that are kind of in the background, like lurk bait works well because I don't have to do anything with lurk bait. And you guys can optionally engage in it. It would be nice if it actually did something and you could spend that gold somewhere, but I don't really have that working, right? More peer-to-peer rather than top-down. I like that. I think that's a good focus. I don't remember which game it was, but there was one where you know, you had like that increasing difficulty and, players had to upgrade themselves, and then every, like 30 minutes the streamer could try the next level, and it was so grindy, and it distracted from the game or from, what people were doing, usually like playing another game or like doing some other kind of stream. And I don't think it was the streamer's fault or anything. It was just more a side effect of that sort of game type. Let's see. Dungeon. Point's more of a technical test. Will the server blow up? I also want to gather feedback, of course, yeah. Work for a few weeks on actual progression systems before the next event. I think you've got a good plan. And I'm very eager to try it out. I wonder if I could put some of the hanging skeletons in here. Right at the start. Okay, that'll work. I don't know if that distracts too much. Kind of is distracting from the entrance a bit. What are your must-haves before you start going after publishers harder? Are you doing things in parallel? Very good question. I'm not doing things in parallel right now. It would just be kind of a waste of my energy and time. Especially because I know that there are still things that I think publishers would want to see or that would entice them that I don't have yet. So, you know, what's the point in wasting potentially my one and only shot? But I think my must-haves before we start going hard after publishers would be potion combat, and it needs to feel good. And it doesn't necessarily need to look great, but it needs to feel good. I would say that progression is a big one. That's one that I've been slacking on, and one that I need to think more about. Because that's a lot of incentive to keep playing and a lot of that intermediary dopamine that the player's going to get. And I think the alchemy rework will be pretty big too. You post news of deaths in stream. I mean, it depends on what deaths do you mean. You know, is it some like kid being ran over by a car 10 times or something? Or is it like a celebrity, you know, just, oh, the celebrity passed, oh no. Celebrity? Yeah, you go for it. I don't mind. I'm not that more. Well, how am I supposed to know? Maybe you are. Yeah, who died? Please tell me it wasn't like Morgan Freeman or something. Don't do it to me. Just came across a tech W vid of some kid getting pancaked by a bulldozer. Yeah, send me the vid to that one. Celebrity found dead in hotel room OD. Man, that sounds like half the celebrity deaths, unfortunately. Honestly, I think it's pretty hard being a celebrity. Like from managing the social impact that you can have with different things that you say and do. I think that's too much focus on one human sometimes. Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead at their home yesterday. What the? Gene Hackman? Because he didn't, he didn't take the stem cells with Christopher Reeves. That's what South Park taught me. It is pretty crazy, though. Sus circumstances. Wife and their dog? What the hell? Was he in like some mafia shit or something? That is weird. Maybe if game design doesn't work out, I can just train as a level artist. Kind of relaxing just placing props that other people spent their time making. Not having to make any of it yourself. Hey, hi, howdy. It has been a long time. How you doing? That's a good, good height. Great, hope you've been well. I'm doing pretty well too. I'm a lot happier these days than I used to be. Not always the most contented. That's mainly because I don't really make any money. So. Turns out, having a salary is pretty good for your mental health. Not having one, not the greatest. But it's not like I'm depressed or anything, so. I was here you were stressing over some water plug-in. Don't talk about fluid flow. Please, that I'm gonna ban that term in this chat. That's the only term that I'm gonna ban is fluid flux. Any mention of that. Just ban water. Water and grass both need to be banned. You weren't here for that, but grass also needs to be a banned term. If you know, you know. Pepsi Max better anyway, dude. I love Pepsi Max. Headline on Twitter? Yeah, show me the headline. Like, Hackman found hacked up. Gene Hackman, the prolific and versatile two-time Oscar-winning actor whose career spanned 5 decades, has died at 95 after he and his wife were found dead in their home Wednesday afternoon. That's a lengthy headline. 95. Has died at 95 after being found dead. That's kind of weirdly worded, isn't it? It's crazy. They died after being found dead. Color me shocked. Does that mean that they died, so they were found dead and then they died? The thought of being dead killed him. So true. Yeah, common journalist moment. Hey, still better than games journalism. We can all agree with that one, right? Oh, we did put a sack there. Maybe I'll do a backpack. He's survived by his wife and 2 kids. Oops. That's not the most accurate, is it? Okay, this looks fine. The hallways look fine. We have the breakable barrels and wall. Some collectibles on the wall here. Here, we'll turn on the fog too so we can see the whole shebang. There we go. Fine, we have enemies. Down here we have this room, the puzzle's working. Enemies in here, loot in here too. Breakable wall. Poison pit. The Doom invulnerability power-up joke. I still like it up there. Props. That legendary sword. Maybe you can give it to the warrior, that would be cool. We'll think about that. And some loot down here, nothing too crazy. I think it could still, receive a touch-up, but for prototype, for not being any sort of final version, this is good. We need to write this book. This will help the player try to understand what to do with this puzzle. A few ways to solve it though. I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it definitely didn't help optimization of the game. I'll say that for sure. But that is a non-issue at the moment. Optimization is less important to me than stability. Oh, oh yeah, because they're supposed to be off during the daytime. That's actually proper. I forgot about that. They turn on during the nighttime. Looks good. FPS is horrible here, but we are in editor too, so some of that is expected. As usual, bumping down shadows and global illumination helps a lot. You get about like 30% worse FPS in editor than running the built game, so things will be better with that. And also this level is set up horribly, so it is what it is. How much juice does the fog machine have? It's pretty optimized. From what I saw. Not too bad. How long does a game of this size take to build? Just curious, I'm a newbie. With this size, or the size that we intend. It depends on how many people, right? Because there's a lot of the optimization or the efficiency can be handled by adding some more people. It takes time. The more depth that you want to have. That's weird. Oh, build isn't compile, I see. If I have to generate all of the shaders from scratch, it can take like 3 hours. And that's with a, Intel Core 9 Ultra 285K. Very, very CPU dependent when you do the build, so it can be pretty lengthy. However, you only need to build the shaders once, and then they go into the cache, and you would only need to update them if you have updated them or added new shaders. So the first build, you know, if it fails, it's kind of okay because it will generally fail at some later stage after the shader compilation. So then if I have to fix some error and then try the build again, it's only gonna be like 15 minutes. How many people are working on this? 3-ish. But you know, I'm doing like, the other two people both have full-time jobs, so I end up doing like 90-95% of the work. Then they help out with other things. But I don't want to diminish their work in any way. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. Oh, I must have collected this ruby ore. I just didn't see myself doing it. It would take more than 15 years if you take Aldavius Fig Tree's Hardbound as a baseline. That furry pixel art game is still in the making. Oh, yeah. See, that's why. Hold on. Pretty much disables global illumination completely. Wouldn't we still have the lighting from the torch down here? Just not very big. Looks so much worse without GI at least on high. Huh. Is what it is. Yeah, I can still get in here. Hold on. Just have to trick them. Here we go. Oops. Forgot that had immolation on it too. Oopsie daisy. Thankfully, due to nanite down here, it's pretty optimized. Oh, okay, we gotta reduce the amount at which the chest goes into the wall there. And we can put a light maybe in here that'll help illuminate anything that spawned over on that side. What kind of soundtrack are you planning? Actually, hi howdy. Would you guys like to hear the main menu theme? Some of you have probably already heard it. I know I'm kind of crazy about it, but I'll let you guys listen to the main menu theme. Is it pixel hunting with coins intentional? Kind of, yeah. The box for them is a bit larger than the coin themselves. But generally, finding like 1 or 2 coins is not going to matter too much to your economy. You know, especially when you can find like a gold pile like this that'll give you 75 coins. Finding 2, not finding 2 or 3 is not going to matter too much. All right, I will play the main menu theme that we have just had finalized. You guys can tell me how you like it. It's a good 4.5 minutes long, and I think it works pretty well. I think this song is best listened to without any, you know, like, interruptions by me talking. It's just calm, you know? It's just... That's what it's meant to be. Yeah, I hope you like that. You're a succulent collector. So that was the main theme. I did not make it, so don't congratulate me, by the way. That was made by Audio Creatures. There is a link to them below the stream, but also I really do recommend them. They've done a fantastic job with our main theme here. Don't congratulate me, congratulate them. They've done a super fantastic work with it. They took all the emotions that I wanted to capture, and they just did it perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I just told them, like, here's some songs that I like that I think fit. Here are the emotions that I want to capture, and they really just translated that perfectly into what we were looking for. Plant some seeds. Yeah, they composed it from scratch. There's no AI, they composed it from scratch. There's our very own main theme song that can go on our main menu. I can show you that too. We congratulate you for having a wallet with some money in it, but not anymore. Not after getting that song composed. This is our main menu. And it is interactive too. You can play with the animals with the beach balls. There's also some other things. You can grab the ingredients that are scattered around, or open the chest, put out the fire. We do have critters in the main world. We don't have very many, but we do have critters in the main world. I have to add some to the desert. But there are plenty. I love stupid main menus like this. Kind of fun, you know, I just wanted like a main menu where you could sit here before starting up the game, get immersed, test out your options to see if the game is running well for you. Just kind of get into the feeling of Cauldron Chronicles. I have no idea what it costs. Well, a couple $1,000. Put it that way. Ambient tracks are usually a bit cheaper for most people. You know, like that the balls disappear before going off the edge. They don't roll always the best over here, so I had to make it a little bit more aggressive. It's not too bad. Unless you're in Poland and don't have a salary, in which case, you know, that's sometimes 2 months worth of food and rent and shit. It's not something I would necessarily recommend to have done in your prototype, but I think it helps the professionalism. To me, as a publisher, it would signal to me that these people are serious about what they're making. I lived in Poland without a salary for like 6 months. Having some birds. Birds flying, Black Knight? 100% agree. 100% we need some birds. I don't have many birds, but maybe I can find some visual effects that would work well. But I agree. You can hide the UI too if you just want to get immersed. It is dynamic too, so there is a day-night cycle to the main menu. And I think weather will appear on the main menu too. Although I don't think I made it as common as it maybe should be. And this backdrop could be improved. A lot more detail here. I guess I have a bow to deal with the ball and bird menace. No bows. You can throw potions. What do you need bows for? I might make it so that if you click the animals, they take damage and then die. That'd be pretty funny. Alien Armada. You guys and your aliens. Your martial combat. Yeah, that's our main menu. I think it's kind of fun. Pretty silly. Loch Ness Monster. We could do it. I think there's some improvements that could be made to the main menu for sure. Here's the sneaky reality of the main menu. That's all it is. A lot of missing landscape chunks and facades. I know it ruins the immersion, doesn't it? It's a scam. Okay, so the white rectangle. I'll load it back up. The white rectangle is that when the sun or the moon is coming up over the horizon, because the landscape material is not two-sided, it actually reflects off of the water here, and then you can see it reflected down here, even though you shouldn't be able to see it here based on the angle of the camera. So I have to hide that. Yeah, it's stupid fixes, right? But it works. It's not even a big deal. I mean, if that happens, it's not a huge deal anyway. Isn't your main character in Discord if you want to have a look at your main character? Should I send all the art bots on Discord your way to draw your main character? Ooh, pretty fancy. I like it. I like the detail you put into like the different parts of it too. It's also got that, what is that the name for the eye thing? Homophobia? Heterochromia? Something like that? One of those words. Art bots are a thing they are, yeah. they'll contact you and they'll ask to draw your main character. I like it though. That's cool. Yeah, it's homophobia. Okay, it's homophobia. Yeah. I think homophobia means something different. I saw a funny meme with a cat that had the heterochromia problem, and it said, look how cool my cat looks. He has homophobia." It was pretty funny. Got a scar in this story, that's why one eye is blind. Okay, but will there be martial combat? That's what chat really cares about. Can you fight with a sword and shield? Maybe he also has homophobia and that's the plot of the story. Has there ever been a plot of a game where the main character is homophobic? I have to sneeze. Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. South Park? I mean, can we consider the dungeon done for now? Hey, Electric Dev. Haven't played it, but Disco Elysium maybe. Can you be homophobic in Disco Elysium? I don't know. I think I might. Okay, so here's the thing. I might make it so you can be a little bit controversial in our game. You know, I do want the player to be able to play the way they want, and if you do meet a character that is, you know, like Spoon is racist, you can agree with his racism. That doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, it's just that he says some species of animals are very violent naturally, and you can agree with him, and the game has fascism. Well, it's not fascism. Fascism would be the, like, silencing or intimidating political opponents. Which here's something they don't like to tell you, but both political extremes are fascist. I know I said it. I know. Some Russian homebrew. I don't know, if we have a gay character, I mean, I guess you could just get him killed because you don't like gay people. I mean, I guess you can do it. It's not really right or wrong within the story of the game, it's just it is. To you it might be morally or ethically correct. To other people it might be morally or ethically incorrect. But I don't really want to force my own views on people. People use the term fascism, usually don't know what fascism actually is. No, they don't. But I would say that it is the silencing intimidation of political opponents and ideas. That's at least the definition of it. Just to keep politics out of your beautifully crafted fictional world and enjoy your own story. I mean, there might be politics to the story. There might be, you know, peoples that are oppressed or something, but I don't want to say, oh, because they're oppressed, that means everything that they do is good and everybody who is oppressing them is bad. Maybe there are legitimate reasons that they're oppressed. Maybe they have done things that are bad, but maybe, you know, it's more like the, you know, a lot of times it's like the sins of the father are not the sins of the son. So that is not the definition of fascism. That's what the definition is before they changed it. In your head? Maybe. I'm pretty sure it used to exist as exactly what I said.
FBI, open up!
I mean, it's kind of listed in way of organizing society with an emphasis on autocratic government, dictatorial leadership, and the suppression of opposition. I mean, I think that anybody can be part of that, right? Just because it is often taken one side or the other. I mean, it's got two definitions here, so technically I'm not correct. I'm not incorrect. Okay, what can I work on if I'm done with the dungeon? We have quite a bit of time to kill. I mean, if we take a look at terms like fascism, socialism, communism, democracy, oligarchy, autocracy, whatever, any of these sorts of things, I think they all have good things and bad things about them. And labeling a regime as fascistic or communist or democratic is not inherently a positive or negative thing. I would say that you're right that generally any... What is this? What is this box? What is this? What is this? Spicy, it is spicy. The bloom on the fire seems very bright by the entrance. Not sure if it's design choice. It is pretty bright. I could lower the intensity of these. Always negative if you aren't in the in-group. I think most political things are negative if you aren't in the in-group. Attach whatever kind of bullshit to it. I mean, people label, oh, this regime, this president is... Insert term here. I don't think it's often used correctly. Oh, that's right. It's because it's part of the enemy spawner. That's why it was moved. I see now. There's no nuance to it. There's no nuance to any of these terms. Not anymore. People say, you know, you're a Nazi, oh, you're anti this, pro this. It never means what it actually means. Racist is another one. Racist is a very common one that is misused and misappropriated. Let's see. Let me work on that bloom issue. I think it's kind of okay out here, but it's definitely way too bright in the entrance. To take it on a case-by-case basis, I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, their intensity is way too high. The walls are quite reflective. But I think that's a bit better, isn't it? People act like Nazis and they say, oh, they're just throwing the term Nazi around. I mean, I don't think there are that many people that actually act like Nazis. I'm going to be really honest. I think that they're just people with different views of the way that things should be handled. But living in Poland, I promise you, you kind of get a different perspective on what the word Nazi means. And you don't want to use that term lightly. Same with, you know, like the Soviets and any sort of communism. All of these, every single government protects the in-group, all of them. Literally, well, me too. I've lived here for 6 years. Nazi is just a term that's thrown around. It really is. I don't think people who are nationalistic are Nazi. I don't think people who are, you know, even moderately tribalistic are Nazis. That's a term that should be exclusively held for people that are specifically acting like that. The more we use that term, it becomes nothing. It loses its meaning. It loses all of its weight. We do have these birds, but they're just kind of like circling crows. They don't really look that great. We could find some bird visual effects. Very specific set of things that people do which can be compared to Nazism. Okay, but I mean, there's plenty of negative forms of government and bad things that have happened in history that also mirrored the ways that people thought and felt with the Third Reich. I mean, you could take far left politics, and a lot of the ways that the people and the governments have acted and thought are the same things that people in the Third Reich felt and thought. So, like, what is it? What does it even mean? Start to build gas showers and kill Jews. There's nobody who wants to talk about the nuance of what this means. I wonder if soft liberals can defeat the Nazis. Important to study history. I think it's important to have nuance. Studying history doesn't really matter as much as you can study history. You can be a student of history, and then you can fail to have any sort of honest discussion with nuance. In which case, what's the point then? You're not accomplishing what you set out to accomplish. Understanding how Mao came to power and what people felt about Mao is just as important as what people felt about Hitler and how he came to power. Where's the nuance in what you're saying? I think it's in all the words that I speak. I'm literally asking for nuance. Stalin, Mussolini, sure, yeah. I think that all of these have things that are in common. All of these regimes. How do you describe the words you use to describe something else? Words are words. Words are words, and I don't like terms being thrown around without the discussion of nuance. I'm sure fascism has some key components, but I don't like saying, oh, insert leader here is a fascist. It's like, okay, well, there may be some things in common, but I'd rather talk about those things than saying, oh, the word describes everything, therefore now using that word is the correct usage of it. I kind of do want to make these vases breakable. Well, I know we're not doing that. But that's kind of what this started by, was the misuse of the words. So I think you're getting kind of defensive about something that isn't even being part of the topic. And I don't know why. Vernal Dictionary. And we can't even trust Wikipedia anymore to accurately define things. I feel like I mean, you can think whatever you want about me, Rabbit, okay? You absolutely can. Or we can actually talk about what was initially talked about, which was that words have meanings, and there's a lot of nuance behind individual parts of those meanings, especially vague terms to describe systems of government. And I think that the nuance is more important than the word itself, and throwing out the word and using it in cases where it doesn't always match a lot of the nuance is important. Okay, so then we agree. So then I don't know why we're even still going on about that. I don't know what you're saying at this point is what I'm trying to get to. Because I feel like you're arguing about something that isn't being talked about. And it's very confusing. I want to keep this walkway pretty clear. Who started this? It's not even about politics anymore. It's more about like systems of government. But it was originally just to talk about language and how words, these days are being thrown around with no sort of discussion about whether or not it's true or false. Shut up. There we go. Now we're talking. This room too, I need this to be pretty clear so that the zombies have a good clear path for moving around. Accurate. If you use the term, okay, can you use the term fascist accurately to describe a modern political leader? Or do you think that there are so many different systems of government and nuances to it that while a term can be used to describe some of an individual's actions or the way that a government is handled, that maybe it's more important to discuss the nuances surrounding each individual system of government and leader? Because that's what I would say. Using those terms means nothing to me. You can say like Kim Jong-un, right? Kim Jong-il in the North Korean Democratic Socialist People's Republic. That's crazy. None of those terms are true. So it's like, what do these words mean anymore? What's the word used before the word fascist for the same behavior? Ooh, which word? I've already forgotten half the words I've said today. Revert that. Save. We used to have a section for free assets. Yes, it does exist. Hi, howdy. It exists on Fab, and you can get to it pretty easily with the limited time free content. They do it every 2 weeks now, though, not every month. So you'd have to check a bit more often. Is everyone so obsessed with the word? Dude, Lazy Fangs, you and I agree. I don't know why. Americans, I can agree with that, Serene. Everybody loves throwing it around. It's crazy. That, yeah, communist too, socialist. We should give more back to the people. Socialist, bam. Okay. Jeez. Jesus. Let me check out the Unreal Asset Store extremist leader character. Wait, what? There's no way that's real, Django. You have to be memeing. There's no way that's real. It is very easy to label. Yeah, I think it is very easy to label and make. I think that's the point, Frades. I think you've nailed it right on the head. People just like to label because it's an easy way to categorize. They don't have to think about it anymore, and then they're your enemy. I'm not arguing that words don't have a meaning. I'm just arguing that words, I don't think, single words that are like that are so vague and that have historically described a specific set of scenarios are really not that relevant to describing new scenarios with much different nuances. You have people legitimately that say the US is a Nazi regime. Unironically, they believe this. They use this term, which is super offensive to people in Poland, to describe that system of government. I'm sorry, I firmly believe that Nazis should specifically describe actual Nazis. And if you want to make up a new term to describe these other people, go ahead. But you're not helping anyone by throwing around a term that has a very specific meaning that doesn't really apply to other scenarios in real life. Yeah, Nazi right now is that these are people that do not see my point of view. That's really what it comes down to today. I mean that for some behaviors, words like the word fascist have to be found first. The behavior that the word fascist describes certainly exists before, but the word fascist did not exist yet, so I see this way toward today's behavior is similar to the old, but still different. It cannot be described 100% with fascism. I agree, according to the chat, so a new word has to be found to describe the behavior. Yeah, pretty much, that's exactly it. Nazi equals other or out group, yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. It will only make sense if you understand it, otherwise just mislabeling and showing yourself for a fool in front of people that were actually touched by both fascism and communism. You know, back in the US, I was taught in school that the Soviets were the saviors. They were the allies in World War II. They helped to bring down a horrible regime, and they were just as good as all the other regimes that they fought alongside. Oh boy, is that wrong. The hero Stalin. And then you come to Poland and it's like, oh, that's not real. So that was all fake news. Same kind of BS when someone says that all white people should be shamed for slavery. I get offended by that because I'm white. Historically, the whole of our country were slaves. Yeah, that one is stupid too. Stalin killed millions of people. He did. Yeah. He definitely did. But according to many, he was the savior of Poland. Just don't ask Polish people. I don't think it's worth comparing like the Nazi occupation of Poland or the Soviet occupation of Poland. They were both absolutely horrid for this country. The savior of Poland sent my grandparents to Siberia. You and many others. I always love jumping on this. Causes some weird glitches. Yeah, who does, right, Lazy Fangs? Actually, yeah, so, some people do. Some people like being controlled. I mean, to be fair, also, you know, a bit of a counterpoint to you, Lazy Fangs, is that there are people in Poland, a lot of older people, that actually miss the days when the Soviets were here. Oh, you can almost rocket boost yourself up there. You can get pretty close. We don't miss what their memory faded away. Empty stores with only vinegar. Massive inflation, there's that too. You know, I think that to some extent, you know, I think they liked that they were given like free, they were given housing, at what cost is really the question that has to be asked there, though. It's the same with like free college tuition. Okay, at what cost? Everything has a cost when it's being given away like that, and I think I prefer the individual property rights over the communist mentality. You need any potion ideas? I mean, not right now, but it would come down to effect ideas, not potion ideas. Neither really works. I think that's fair. It's a fair point. I don't know if there's any system of government that works perfectly well for everybody. And there's always going to be a majority that benefits the most, and a minority that doesn't benefit. Erect. Your ass effect makes my mass erect. Alright, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, and then we can fill up this cave, because I forgot to do that. And I want to get this done today, too. Keep typing, though. Okay, what are we getting into? That door is squeak. It's specifically the handle, but I don't own I don't own this office, so I'd have to get the owner to change it. Kind of annoying though, and it's like inside the door mechanism itself, so I'd have to take it off if I wanted to like lube it up. Annoying. I was thinking about it while I was pissing. I guess. I don't like vague terms. I don't know. I like nuance. I think every single thing deserves and can benefit from nuance. And I was like, to some extent, I think that understanding how the Nazis came into power is more important than understanding that they were in power. I don't know if that makes sense. There's a good book. I only know the Polish name for it. Zwykli ludzie. And I don't remember how that translates. Ordinary Men. Yeah. This is a really good book. And film. I think the film is based off of the book. how a unit of average middle-aged Germans became the cold-blooded murderers of tens of thousands of Jews. This is a super fantastic book, I would say, that really describes how... I think that some philosophers have put it well, that any single person should realize that they could have become Nazi camp guards. They could have. If pushed to the right extremes and pushed to the right points, you can become that evil. And I think understanding that is key to knowing that behind every single regime like that, you have actual humans. And to avoid those mistakes, you kind of have to analyze what were the scenarios and circumstances that led people to be in those situations. But I know it's kind of empathizing with Nazis. Well, yeah, because they were humans before they became Nazis. They were pure innocent children before they became what they became. And I think that's an important transformation. I have any meshes I can just throw in here? It's like a chest, there's some crystals. That's kind of it. And the rest of it is kind of boring. There's nothing else in here. I could put some breakable crates down, I guess. Maybe I'll get offended from things that doesn't even matter for their lives at all. All ego. Yeah, I think ego does play a part in it. I think that there's some fear too, right? That, you know, if you go back to what you said, right? Using labels, it's an easy way to funnel people into something so that you don't have to understand it. You almost feel safer. Pepsi, thank you for the follow. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Oh yeah, happy Fat Thursday as well. Hey, Cludos. We have a journalist who said last week that the Nazis were inspired by what French did to Algeria. I don't know anything about what the French did to Algeria. I can't comment on that. I know there were a lot of French colonies. There are not that many French colonies anymore. So assumedly there was some disagreement on being French colonies. Oh, I think I put it in, no. Oh, I put it in breakable crate, okay. Yeah, we can throw some crates in here. They don't have loot though. What loot tables could I use? I could just use loot crate. That actually works fine. Yeah, we'll do 2 polls. I try to speak with nuance, but the problem with nuance is it takes a lot more time. It does take time. You lose a lot of people who are interested in having a whole conversation. I agree. I'm not interested in any conversation that doesn't have nuance. You know, sometimes I'm not interested in a deep conversation, but that just means I probably don't want to have a talk at all. I'd rather just talk about something that is, I don't know, like, just talk about games, right? I mean, it's a long day, whatever. But when I want to talk about something like that, I would prefer to talk about nuance. No sound bites, no clips, no edits. Good faith only. Why bother trying to communicate with someone who is not even interested? Can't disagree with you there. I got family members like that, to be honest. Like, well, What's the point? What's the point in discussing this? I'm gonna lean it the other way. It's close enough. Good enough. Good faith hardly exists. Yeah, it really doesn't. Or dryer and microwave. Damn, people banging above. Noisy neighbors. You lost me a girl. No, I've been in similar situations. Like I said, I have a family member who will just take things. The moment I actually say, okay, here's a good example. I'm not gonna name names, but do you remember when that whole Covington kid issue happened? Do you remember the Covington kid? Remember this image? It went viral as hell. Hard to avoid this one. And there was a clip. Okay, so there's this kid, right? This high school kid smiling and wearing a MAGA hat. And I'll explain the original clip. So you see this is all just what you see here. And, you know, kids laughing and smiling in the background. And this Native American who's banging a drum. The original clip, which was like only a few seconds long, just showed this guy singing Native American songs, banging the drum, and this kid standing here smiling, and that was it. And holy shit, did the internet blow the hell up because of this. Rightly so, based on the clip that was shown. It was then revealed as more footage came out that, and they weren't doing anything, by the way, they weren't hurting him or touching him or anything, so it was arguably very peaceful. But more context came out. This guy approached the kids who were just standing there waiting for a bus to leave on a school field trip. So he was the instigator. And I got into the moment that was going on. I had somebody in my family who labeled this kid as, you know, the worst evil that could exist. And I merely replied, well, I've seen some other, you know, footage of this, and it looks like the other guy approached these kids. And, you know, maybe we just need to wait to see what happens, you know, maybe see more footage. I pretty much have not spoken to that family member since that point because of that. That's why. The moment I said, well, hold on, there, you know, the more context and nuance appears that the thing you're saying might not be true, so let's just wait and see. Done. That Trump? It was a Trump hat. It was a MAGA hat. That's exactly it. That's exactly a plus 3D. Yeah. That's what I just hate. That's why, you know, that's why I mentioned that I like Joe Rogan's podcast, even if I don't always like everything that's said on there, because at least I get the raw uncut footage of it and I can make my own decision, and I'm not watching some, you know, clipped edited 60 minutes video, which they used to have a lot of stature and reason, but you know, it's all just kind of the same thing. Nobody wants to have an honest conversation. Have me at raw and uncut. Apparently drums and hats are a touchy subject. Okay, so there was a lot of context around it. Like, obviously, you know, Native Americans have a protected status within the U.S. There's a lot of, you know, colonization, and, you know, we took their land and stuff. And, you know, it's like, On one side, we won the war and they lost it. On the other side, you know, is that the right thing to do? Who knows? There was a lot of schemy bullshit that happened, especially with the legal status of Native Americans and giving them the right to even be human in some cases. So, touchy subject. So, from the context of an American looking at that photo without any additional context, looks like exactly the same mindset that the old school government had towards Native Americans. But then the context shows that the kid was in the right. CNN posted a fake article, and then they got sued, and the kid walked away with probably over like $100 million from CNN because they smeared him and slandered his name. Justice served. I don't think it was disclosed how much money he made. I think his name was like Sandman. Sandman, CNN. They settled the lawsuit. He sought $275 million in damages. I also like that this is written by CNN, by the way. The settlement will allow CNN to avoid a lengthy and potentially unpredictable trial. Sandman sought $275 million in damages. So they settled. It was never disclosed how much they settled for, but I would bet that it was for a pretty significant amount. That's what happens. That is what happens. I guess he sued Washington Post too, because everybody was running with it. Every single news site was running with the news that these kids had been in the wrong. They were bad. They were evil. Fuck the news. Many people can't discern between the truth and fiction now. No, they can't. There's a lot of BS. Well, there's a lot of people too that state their opinion as if it is the truth. Especially with like controversial philosophical topics like abortion. Until you're trying to undermine your family members' worldview foundations with your logic and reasoning. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I get along really well with my grandma. My grandma has to be like the arbiter of the family. She has to make sure that everybody can come to Christmas parties and not fight. So she just has to deal with everybody's bullshit, whether they're on the right or the left, or they have strong views of one thing or strong views about another thing. And first off, I really respect it. She's an angel. But it must be hard. It must be really hard having to make sure that it's like, no, nobody's talking politics. You're coming here for Christmas. No politics, or you're kicked out of the house. Place like a bench. It's just isn't really the place for a bench though. I was like, can I put a bench down and maybe some other things on it? I don't know. I guess it's okay. It is what it is. She's an angel. There's no way that's accurate. I love it. ISR and PAL? What is ISR and PAL? What is that, Serene? What is that Zoomer talk? Speaking of Zoomers, did you know that starting in 2025, the new generation of kids is called Generation Beta? That's not a joke. It is real. Generation Beta. I love it. You feel bad for them. I feel bad for them too. Oh, Israel and Palestine. Oh, I don't know anything about that. You want my opinion? I think that it is such an old controversy with problems on both sides that I cannot support anybody fighting and killing. I think whatever grievances were had were created by generations long ago. Kind of the same issue with like Catholicism and Islam. Do your family? Probably they do disagree. What the fuck is this? Let me take a look at the U-Track. We don't have anything else to work on. I guess I could just watch some videos today. Here, I'll pull it up for you guys too. Organized religion might be something that causes problems, right? Any problems on both sides when it was all created by the UK and they were now just watching on the sidelines. I mean, I just can't support people killing each other. Defending yourself, sure, but you know, at some point, defense is a slippery slope. And I don't want it to be used for... I don't know. Why can't people just get along? Why can't we just agree to disagree? What happened to love thy neighbor? The golden rule, all those things. Okay, this poison pool is waiting for the poison to be implemented. Environmental puzzles is, you know, the main task holder for this, so that is in progress. As long as any environmental progress is in progress, refactor environmental puzzles for new gas changes is part of that as well. Cave lights, I guess I can consider finished because all that needed to be done was the cave. Let me move that. Tile and door needs is waiting for gas changes. Booming fish to more lootable. We could work on more lootables today, but I need to put some thought into that. Tutorial rate. I could add something to NPCs. Hate my neighbors? You support people killing each other? Okay. If this were any other Twitch stream, I would ban everybody that didn't agree with me. But it's not. I want to do a check, a narrative condition. Narrative condition. I'm writing it on this side, but it'll appear on your screen, your guys' screen. Narrative condition for... player item ownership. Do I have one for that, though? Check potion for effect. Also, that could be shoved into... with the inventory. Let's see. Check potion, check if player has enough gold. I don't think I have a checker for if the player actually owns an item specifically. I have filters for owned items when we update lists. And that does the check there, but it doesn't check... I don't have like a dedicated check for it. I could implement that. I've gotten tired of being controlled, so I've switched to the other extreme of being controlled. Pretty funny. Criminals stealing tires on police cars. The police are working tirelessly to catch the Nyla. Fuck off. Check if player owns item ID. I'll do two. I'll do one for item ID and then one for potions. Because I can always switch on item ID. I think I even have like a get item type from ID. Yes, I do. If null, return. Otherwise, do a switch. Hey, teacher. Good timing. We're just getting done with political talks. I'm surprised that I actually so many of you are still lurking after these talks. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's interesting to listen to. It is what it is, right? Lazy Fang sent this to me. Pretty funny. Trump signs new order that all female video game characters must be hot now. I'm gonna be honest, I think that people like to play hot characters, but I think that sometimes the talk about hot characters in games goes a little bit too far. I don't think every character needs to be hot. You actually got followers during the politics, I did. Talks are engaged. They are kind of engaging. They're fun. I like them. Something to think about, right? Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I think always, though, it gives me more to think about. Okay, ingredient. Get player ingredient. Get ingredients. Get all ingredients. Only grab owned items. The thing about this is that get all ingredients will already run through my ingredient. I think that I should... Here's the thing. If I do get all ingredients, I then have to go through all of the ingredients again to find if the ingredient that I have is in there. Or I could... do a find and make. So we don't care about the number the player has, only the ID. I don't know, it's not going to be the most optimized, but whatever. When would it be run? In narrative? Yeah, it's okay. We can have some slight jankiness in dialogue. You're not gonna feel it as a player, so who cares? All male video game characters should be femboys. It's so fascist. Love it. Okay, let's do a return node. As item. Do you follow sports? No, the only recent sports thing I followed was the US versus Canada hockey game, which was really funny as an American. I'll tell you that. There was some vindication. Oh yeah, but the problem is if I do the make and the number, no, I have to do this a different way. Didn't we lose? No, US won. Okay, so the way the match went, to summarize, it's, by the way, it's worth watching at least the first 10 seconds. There were 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game. It was pretty tight. I think that Canada won one of the fights, US won one of the fights, the other was kind of a draw. Nothing crazy. But then we won... was it 3-1? USA... Canada hockey. I think it was 3-1. 3-2. Sorry, 3-2 in overtime. We beat them at their own national sport after they booed during our national anthem, which, by the way, was very disrespectful. They can do it. So yeah, they kind of felt that one. Watch Netflix documentaries. I don't know. They used to be good. They're kind of shit now. Canada upsets? I don't know. They lost. I don't know what happened. Canada upsets? No, the USA won. Am I crazy? Did I die? Am I dead? Am I over? I have Alzheimer's? It's over now? Were there two? Oh no, wait, hold on. No. There were two games. We beat them in the first one. They must have beat us in the second one. I'm not crazy. It was a, like a match, so we got to the finals or something, or I don't know. Whatever. We beat them the first time, they beat us the second time. I guess tit for tat. Yeah, sorry about that. That kind of confused me for a second too. I'm like, hold on. I don't remember when the game was. US Canada Hockey USA win. Which was the first one? And why on Google can I only see the Canadian win and not the US one? Bro, it doesn't show the first one. I think Canada won the whole thing. What the fuck? Foreign Nations Hockey All Tournament. There's got to be like a bracket, right? Yeah, see, USA versus Canada, 3-1, USA win. The final, the Canadians won. It's so weird, though, that searching on Google, it doesn't even show one thing. The Mighty Ducks won with that first win. Well, it wouldn't be the first time that Google has manipulated search results. Direct order from Lord Trump. Well, if it was a direct order from him, you would think that he would only want to show the one where the USA won, not the Canadians won. But I guess maybe just like the finals are so much more important that people don't care about the round robin matches before that. Probably what it is, really. To justify the invasion. I think it is really funny that Trump keeps mentioning Canada becoming the 31st state, because everybody knows it's not going to happen. But it's really funny to talk about. Did I say 30? Fuck me. I don't know. I'm done speaking. Watch me just type in blueprints for the rest of the stream. It's over. Okay, get all junk. Book seed. I mean, I guess we could do books and seeds, but I don't know if I have a get all books. I guess I do. But this is get all books owned, and then it says books read. I don't know which one is right here. Canada should have a bunch of sports competitions with the US to decide if they get subsumed. Even in the cabinet meeting yesterday he was talking about, you know, look, I didn't vote for Trump. I would never vote for Trump. I don't know why I have to preface that, but let me just tell you that. Because I do have some things to say. It's at least nice how public he is about the things he's doing. It feels like a very good shift from the last 4 years. Doesn't mean I like all the things that are happening, but at least I know what's happening. Good content too. Every time he mentions Canada becoming a state, I laugh my ass off. He almost absent. Okay, get all seeds. Only grab owned. For each. Did you vote? I didn't vote in 2024. It's because, and part of it is because they didn't send me my absentee ballot, but also I didn't really request it. Because I was like trying to keep up with all the independent candidates for 2024, and all of them just really didn't match my own views. So I don't know, I just didn't vote. But I voted for Tulsi in 2020 and a guy named Evan McMullen in 2016. It's absolutely awful. They're all awful. I hold the take that I think we have a nation of 300 million people and we can't find any two people better than these two. Really? The plumber that I hired to come fix my toilet has better political views than any major party leader. Yeah, the people want power end up there. I agree. Russ would be in the briefing room practically begging for Biden to come answer questions, and he never would. Yeah. I don't know. It's all a show at this point. It's just theater. It's depressing. Okay, we'll do check if player owns potion. Choose our elected officials via random selection and then a vote from the randomly selected candidates. Honestly, you know, even if we just selected people randomly, I think we would end up with a more reasonable government. And not just president, but like you said, all elected officials. Right, fuck it, just random. Potion data. Randomized at birth. He has potion. Kind of hard to check though if the player has the exact right potion. I probably will never use this, but you know what? Okay, unused code. Pretty easy to check anyway. Oh, thank you for just ending that YouTube playlist halfway through a song. I love when that happens. Do 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 do. Like jury duty. That makes people who are forced to take office though, so they can't drop out. If it's voluntary, you might get right back to the same thing. I would be interested in seeing how it works. I really would. Why not experiment? Clearly, elected officials is not working. They're a bunch of asshats. Kanye West for president. As you live in Poland, you have a preferred candidate for president? Oh, Polish presidents? No, I don't know. I really don't know anything about Polish politics. But I think that people are entrenched. I think that people are entrenched into two parties as much over here as they are in the US. There might be additional parties within their, you know, I'm going to use words here like legislature, but there's probably a proper term for this. But still, you know, people tend to pull towards two extremes in every single country. Even if they have parliament where you can have other representations, it doesn't really prevent people from voting for one or two parties. I think it's better, but it's kind of the same thing. Outlaw political parties. Well, I think people will look for terms to describe political leaders regardless. Even if you don't have parties. I think that's just inherent to like tribalism. Having simple, reductive ways of classifying individuals is, I think, just innate to human nature. That's my hypothesis. I don't know if it's backed up by science or anything. But what is science? You know, math is racist, so maybe science is racist too. Would you be happier if the US didn't have a two-party system? I would be happier if on the debate stage, you had to have the top three parties regardless. Regardless of what parties, if you forced three candidates, it would be better than two. You could say 4 would be better than 3, 5 would be better than 4, sure. I don't disagree. But at the very least, put up the independent parties. Throw up the independents. But there are some laws in some places where if a party doesn't have at least 15% of support during primaries, they don't get that support on the ballot. So there's already legislation in states and in the federal government in the US that makes it nearly impossible for independent parties to have any chance of even getting a voice. And again, that's one of the things I like about Joe Rogan, is that he will have people who are silenced from the open debate stage. Love him or hate him, Bernie Sanders was legitimately silenced by the DNC, but he had a really nice talk on Joe Rogan. I didn't agree with some of the things he said, but it was at least unedited and many hours in length. Yeah, yep. 15% fucking requirement. It sucks. And the only way to break it is to ally yourself with one of the major parties and then go in and break it from the top down. Which is why, I mentioned that if I could be president, I would have to use executive orders to break the system and then ban executive orders as my last executive order. I feel like I have fixed this issue a billion times with the map, and it keeps coming back. I'll fix it again. There was a talk about lowering it when Kennedy was in the race, but didn't happen. I don't think it'll ever happen. Ex-president could just have your last executive order tossed. Not if you get rid of executive orders, because I think right now the only two things that would be able to get rid of executive orders would be an executive order or Congress. And I think Congress is too entrenched in politics to get rid of it. I think that you might be able to get rid of executive orders with an executive order. And I'm not sure about that, though. Should we ask and see? I mean, this is not the truth, but we'll see if it has an idea on it. Can you, as president, use an executive order to remove the ability to have executive orders unless Congress enables it again? You cannot use an executive order to eliminate the ability to issue executive orders. Okay, interesting. Power to issue executive orders is derived from the president's constitutional authority, to ensure the faithful execution of the laws, which is granted by Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Interesting. I did not know that it was actually part of the Constitution to have it. To remove the ability to issue executive orders, it would require a change to the Constitution, which would be done through an amendment, through Congress, which will never happen. Okay, so it's fucked, is what it is. It's fucked. Ooh, too much. Wonderful. Great to know. We can at least agree that it was a good idea in theory, right? In a perfect world, it would be a great idea. But we don't live in a perfect world. So really, if you wanted it to change, you should focus more on who you elect into Congress and not the president. The president is just using the power that comes with the office. Another constitutional convention. Do you trust the politicians of this age to have any better way of negotiating how government should run than the founding fathers? I don't think everything the founding fathers wrote or said was perfect, but I do think it was maybe a bit more fair than what we have now. Shouldn't be the politicians handling the convention. So really, a revolution is kind of what you're saying, but not a revolution that is necessarily violent or bloody, but just one that, completely changes the way that things are run. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I can get behind that. I consider myself a dissident of sorts. I think the system is okay, but the system is being abused. So we should use the system to change the system. But of course that might not always be possible, right? You're probably headed to violence instead at this point. You know who I blame? everyone and no one. I think it's human nature if it's an inevitability, but also at the same time, I blame all the politicians that didn't try to speak with nuance and care and come to compromise. I blame social media 100% too. But also, social media is just trying to make money the way that humans are wired, which is we bond more over mutual hatred than we do mutual love. They're just playing the game. I don't know. That one is true. I can back that one up. People bond more over mutual hatred. I don't know if I'm wording this correctly. Thanks, Goku. Here's one. There's like a 2006 study here. Conducted, blah, blah, blah. Found evidence that people connect over shared dislikes quicker than over shared likes. I don't know if they have any good info here. I don't really know what this is saying. That's a chart. It is a chart. I know there are studies that show this. Because we looked at it previously during a stream where I think we were talking about social media and how, you know, we were curious why everybody flocks to the negative news over the positive ones. Even though I would argue that the positive ones leave your brain in a better state, a more healthy state. Like, you feel better surrounding yourself with things that are positive, but that's not how people bond. So it's like tribalism is just kind of like inherently built into our animal DNA, and I don't think it's escapable. I don't think that we can transcend that, at least not anytime soon. I don't know if there's any way to do it. It's there. I'm 99.99% sure that I'm right on this one. I don't know to what extent people bond over hatred more than mutual likes, but it is more than mutual likes. We're just built for fighting and for being in tribes and separating ourselves into groups. Kinda shit. Do I need to put the occlusion volume into the dungeon at all? Also, did I put a volume into here for ambience? I think this is what it is. Cave check volume. Ambience at 0.5. Is that actually working properly? I think the thing that we've evolved from the people who were alive 50,000 years ago, we haven't barely punched from an evolutionary standpoint. Yeah, we haven't. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I think the greatest mistake of humanity was forgetting that we were animals. Believing that we've transcended that biology. We haven't. Okay, we're good. It's working. 50% quieter here in the cave, but you'll still hear the outside stuff. Second greatest mistake was anime. Probably also true. I don't know. I don't think you can control what other people. I think it's kind of egotistical to believe that you can control what other people do as well. Oh. Or what people think. I believe they can control other people because some people submit to being controlled. That's a good way to put it. I think you're right about that. Okay, this is all good. I don't really want to bug check today. We could watch some Tim Kaine or other game development stuff. Because I kind of have to wait for some more work to be done on Cuthbert's side before I can jump in. And I'll probably think about some new lootables that we can put in next week. We got the dungeon done sooner than I'd expected. Is there any other location where we could put some fog maybe that would look nice? Tim Kaine wasn't that Hillary's running mate. Who was her running mate? Tim Walls was Kamala's. But no, Tim Kaine is a game designer and programmer and creative director behind like Fallout and Arcanum. Who was Hillary Clinton 2016? Who the fuck was her running mate? Oh my god, it was Tim Kaine, but it's a different Tim Kaine. Not this Tim Kaine. No, I'm not gonna watch this Tim Kaine. Holy shit, yeah, I don't even remember who he was. It's not this Tim Kaine. It's a better Tim Kaine. Not a politician. Oh boy. Alright, let me end my YouTube recording there for the stream then. And if you're watching on YouTube, I will catch you on Monday. And if you're watching on Twitch, stick around because we'll do some game dev stuff still. Okay, say bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye, YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sure that there's going to be like a blue bar underneath the video of something we mentioned today where it's like, well, actually, the facts show that this was this thing. They did that to me anytime I mention COVID, by the way. They do that. Anytime. They probably will do it for... Yeah, they'll probably do it for the Nazi stuff that we talked about today. Either way. Bye-bye, YouTube.